I have hope, because without hope it is impossible to live.
Václav Havel, the poet, the playwright, the dreamer, the revolutionary.
The Václav Havel Prize for Creative Dissent.
Because dissenting is the best verb to conjugate liberty.
This award is hope and a message to those voices that are out there that no one is speaking for them.
Dictatorship is not a political issue. It is a moral issue.
Governments and dictatorships are so scared of art.
They want to close my mouth because I choose the most peaceful tool to criticize them. I choose poetry, verses, words.
Theater has got power. We have got power to provoke emotions and start debate immediately.
So I would like to dedicate this award for the voiceless.
Even though we may be going through great darkness, it's up to us to realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Václav Havel said, "Hope is not the conviction that things will turn out right, but the certainty that what we do without caring what the result will be."
And we together can change our society.
Describing Václav Havel's legacy is not an easy task. Beyond what was said and written about him, a dissident, politician, writer, statesman, Havel was a Democrat devoted to the cause of human rights. But Václav Havel was even more than that. He became a symbol. He became the image of creative freedom, imprisoned by a tyrannical regime. Václav Havel's legacy encourages us to strive for high ideals and fight for them relentlessly, without compromise. While this can certainly not be easy, anyone aspiring to live in truth can embody the spirit and memory of Havel.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to present our first Václav Havel International Prize for Creative Dissent to Kizito Mihigo of Rwanda. This is tragically the first time a Havel Prize is awarded posthumously. But we are not here to mourn. We want to take this opportunity to celebrate Kizito's life, musical talent, and courageous commitment to what Havel called living in truth. Kizito was born in Kibeho in southern Rwanda, the third of 6 children. Both his parents were ethnic Tutsis, an oppressed minority which suffered discrimination under a dictatorial regime dominated by the majority ethnic Hutus. Kizito was forced to confront racial discrimination from a young age as he entered a school system which maintained official ethnic quotas of students. In an early sign of resistance to oppression, a young Kizito refused one day to be counted in any ethnic category. When he was confronted by his teacher, Kizito offered a cheeky response. "My ethnicity is yet to be mentioned. My family is rich because we have a generator at home." Soon, however, Kizito's childhood was shattered by unimaginable horror and violence. In April 1994, Rwanda experienced the worst genocide seen in the world since World War II. More than 800,000 people, mostly minority ethnic Tutsis, such as Kizito, but also moderates from the ethnic Hutu majority, were slaughtered over the course of 3 months. The family joined millions of fleeing refugees, witnessing unimaginable horrors. But no less than 79 of Kizito's relatives were slaughtered, including his father. The family would return to Rwanda only after Tutsi rebels, led by Paul Kagame, defeated the genocidal Hutu regime and ended the genocide. It would take Kizito several years to overcome his desire for revenge. And remarkably, through music and his Christian faith, he eventually forgave his father's killers. The genocide did not break him, it made him stronger. At 16, he was one of the few people to contribute words and music to Rwanda's new national anthem. He went on to study music at the prestigious Conservatoire of Paris and eventually launched a foundation which promoted peace and reconciliation through arts and music in schools and prisons. In March 2014, a month before the annual genocide commemoration, he released a song entitled "The Meaning of Death." It was a crescendo of his message of peace and reconciliation. The song was quickly banned because it called attention to atrocities committed against civilians by the ruling party after the genocide. Kizito was then abducted by regime state security agents and held incommunicado for 9 days. Kizito later revealed that police threatened him with a life sentence or death in prison if he did not plead guilty to all charges. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison and released on presidential pardon after serving 3 years. However, he was forbidden from leaving the country and his foundation was shut down. The country had become an open-air prison for him. In February 2020, he attempted to escape Rwanda, but was arrested and accused of attempting to join anti-Rwanda terror groups outside the country. He died in a police cell on February 17, 2020. He was just 38 years old. With Kizito dead and discredited, the regime wants us to forget about him and move on. Before his death, Kizito said that while he knew that releasing the song would lead to terrible consequences, he could not help but release it. The message is sometimes more important than the messenger, he said. We will never forget that Kizito was a light onto this world snuffed out by Paul Kagame's regime. We will never move on until justice is done. We will now play the last song released by Kizito before his death. It is called Amahoro Yimana, Hymn to Peace and Reconciliation.
Singizimana munyarwanda singiza yamamaze kuko yatwiyeretse ikaduherekeza muri uru rugendo rutagatifu. Twitoza kongera kubana mu mahoro no mu buvandimwe dukesha ijuru. Singizwa mubyeyi wacu, singizwa wowe wahaye abantu ubumwe. Nibyo twakoze ni wowe wabidushoboje Nyagasani. Singizwa mubyeyi w'impuhwe n'imbabazi, tukwigiraho kubabarira no kwiyunga nyabyo.
It is my honor to present the Václav Havel Prize for Creative Dissent to the artist Badiucao from China, a political cartoonist and human rights activist. His choice to live in truth began when he was a teenager growing up in China and realized the fanatical level of censorship around the subject of the Tiananmen Square massacre. Instead of becoming a lawyer, he became an artist, a far more dangerous career choice. For years, his artwork has unmasked the lies of the Chinese regime, rallied support for Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement, advocated on behalf of political prisoners in China, and exposed the Chinese Communist Party's censorship of the coronavirus pandemic. He is best known for his online cartoons, which are shared on Twitter. Because of his activism, for years he was pseudonymous and elected to wear a ski mask to conceal his identity at art events. He came out this past June. He lives in exile in Australia. Badiucao is a creator of the London flag, which became a powerful protest symbol that inspired and mobilized the global community to stand in solidarity with last year's protests in Hong Kong. I must emphasize, protest art can galvanize and sustain a movement. This Havel Laureate has made history. We award him the Havel Prize for a remarkable adult life devoted to dissent and to motivating protesters to continue to resist. We hope he continues to use art creatively to raise awareness for human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, Badiucao.
Millions Hong Kongers took the street and protested for their basic rights and a fair election, regardless of the white terror from Beijing. Millions of Uyghurs are put into concentration camps, and they're tortured and forced to be laborers, like slaves. Millions of Tibetans lose their land and the rights to practice religion freely. Many of them choose to set themselves on fire as a form of protest. Millions of Mongolians lost their rights to speak native tones and practice their native culture because of operation of China. Millions of refugees seeing no hope in Europe, even after fleeing from the war and environmental crisis from Middle East to Africa. Millions of minorities are suffering from systematic racism in America. The history of this world has not ended. The struggle of this world has not ended. Our world needs 1 million pencils, 1 million guitars, 1 million brushes, 1 million pianos to tell the story for the ones who do not have a voice. Our world needs 1 million artists to act, to draw, to paint, to sing, for those who are trapped in oppression and injustice. So my fellow artists, don't make art, make change. It is such a privilege to be able to show your works in the gallery, to be able to play your music in a concert hall, to be able to screen your films in a theater. It is such a privilege to be able to create freely. So don't take freedom as granted. Don't just be satisfied as entertainers. And don't hide in the ivory tower of art for the sake of art. My fellow artists, don't make 1 million art. Make one change.
It is my honor to present the Václav Havel Prize for Creative Dissent to Omar Abdulaziz from Saudi Arabia. Omar is a political satirist and human rights activist from Saudi Arabia. He had to flee Saudi Arabia because of his criticism of the Saudi government on Twitter. He started a new life in Canada where he deepened his commitment to being self-expressed and began doing the unthinkable. He began criticizing not just the Saudi government, but also the Saudi royal family and the crown prince. His satirical new show in Arabic, Say It and Walk Away, which is on YouTube, has a far reach with more than 53 million views. The regime has tried to stop him and used every imaginable tool, including extortion, bribery, surveillance, and hacking at the hands of the regime. It is important to note that as a result of his work, Omar's friends and family members have been arrested, imprisoned, and even tortured. As I stand here, his brothers are in prison, held for no crime. And even so, Omar persists. He has had threats to his physical safety, and the regime even prepared a kill team to disappear Omar in Canada. Nevertheless, Omar has persisted. Through his show, he has exposed the abuses and crimes of the Saudi dictatorship under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And Omar has raised awareness about ongoing repression and human rights abuses in the kingdom where political satire is considered a crime. He has displayed tremendous bravery in carrying out his work. His resilience is inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, Omar Abdulaziz.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Omar Abdulaziz is unable to join us because he is physically unwell. However, he has sent text that he wanted read as his acceptance remarks. I am truly honored to be given such a prestigious award alongside great artists, musicians, and activists. I believe it is really a noble gesture to value artwork and political satire as tools against authoritarianism and dictatorship, and to celebrate art that serves the struggle for basic human rights and civil liberties for our peoples. What we creative dissenters say resonates with people not because we're exceptional or because we are different, but rather because the people can relate powerfully to our work. They see that we reflect what they think, what they say, and what they feel. And then we make them laugh at some of this pain, and we create an opportunity to shift how we collectively think about oppression and injustice. Our success, when we have success, is a result from the support and faith that our audience has in what we say. This is what motivates me to keep going, to not let them down, and to continue the struggle against these oppressors until justice for my friend Jamal Khashoggi and those like him is served. I thank the members of the Václav Havel Prize Committee and the Human Rights Foundation for this honor. Omar Abdulaziz.
فعل مكانه مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان يكون فعل مكانه مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان لا انا بصرخ يكون فعل مكانه مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان يكون فعل مكانه مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان لا انا بصرخ واكتب وابعت واتكلم واسمع يا معلم واكتب وابعت واتكلم واسمع يا معلم انا المواطن نقط 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 رقم قومي نقط 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 محل الاقامه نقط 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 بجوار البنزينه انا المواطن نقط 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 رقم قومي نقط 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 محل الاقامه نقط 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 بجوار البنزينه بصراحة حرام تعملوا فينا نقط ونقط ونقط وتطلعوا نقط ونقط أهالينا عملتوا انتخابات وكلها نقط 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 وشلته وحطيته حاجات نقط ونقط ونقط. بصراحة حرام تعملوا فينا نقط ونقط ونقط وتطلعوا نقط ونقط أهلنا. عملتوا انتخابات وكلها نقط 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 وشلتوا وحطيتوا حاجات نقط ونقط ونقط. يكون في علمك أنا مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان. يكون في علمك أنا مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان. لا أنا بصرخ. يكون في علمك أنا مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان. يكون في علمك أنا مش جبان لا بتهن واسكت زي زمان. لا أنا بصرخ واكتب وابعت واتكلم واسمع يا معلم. واكتب وابعت واتكلم واسمع يا معلم. انا المواطن نقط 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 رقم قومي نقط 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 محل الاقامه نقط 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 بجوار البنزينه. انا المواطن نقط 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 رقم قومي نقط 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 محل الاقامه نقط 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 بجوار البنزينه.
Fight the power. The more they go violent, the more we make music, the more we sing, the more we make art.
Thank you for joining us over the past 2 days. It's been a wonderful Oslo Freedom Forum, despite the challenges of doing a solely online event. If you've liked what you've seen here, please help us amplify these voices and help multiply the impact of the speakers, the activists, and the technologists that we've brought together here. Please share their talks widely. Please consider supporting their work directly. And if you want to learn more about the Oslo Freedom Forum, or if you'd like to attend in 2021, please visit oslofreedomforum.com. There you will also find an archive with hundreds and hundreds of talks, wonderful talks from speakers who've been there in the past. And if you'd like to become involved with the Human Rights Foundation, I invite you to visit hrf.org. The dates for the next Oslo Freedom Forum will be online in the next couple of months on the website. Everyone can play a role. Everyone must play a role if we are to be successful in the struggle against dictatorship and authoritarianism. Again, thank you so much. So long.